everybody on YouTube, it's Michael here. Now, in the next 8 videos, I'll be showing you 2 keyboards. The first 4 videos, I'll be showing you the Yamaha PSR-4500, and then the last 4 videos, I'll be showing you the Yamaha PSR-4600, which both look the same and have the same specifications when it comes to facilities. And the PSR-4500 came out in 1989, whereas the PSR-4600 came out a year later in 1990. Now, I've had this keyboard, the PSR-4500, for over 5 years, and the PSR-4600 I actually got a couple of months ago. Now, the 2 keyboards, the PSR-4500 and PSR-4600, feature a sound source called DAS, which stands for Dual Architectural Synthesis System. Now, to me, the DAS system, it's sort of like a cross between FM synthesis, frequency modulation, and AWM synthesis, advanced wave memory. Now, the FM synthesis has been on the Yamahas going back in 1983, when the DX7 first came out. The DX7 had the FM synthesis, and other keyboards from the early 80s to mid 80s, and some of the other keyboards from the late 80s had the FM synthesis, such as like the small Yamaha PSS keyboards, and the and some of Yamaha's home keyboards like the PS-6100 and the PSR-6300. They were Yamaha's flagship keyboards before this one, and they had FM synthesis. And now the AWM synthesis, they came on keyboards, I believe, in the late 80s. Some of Yamaha's HS organs and the Yamaha SY synthesizers that came out during that time that had AWM synthesis. And I believe the some of the home keyboards from the late 80s had AWM as well. So right now, here's a video clip of the PSR-4500 and 4600 together. So right in front of me are the 2 keyboards. We have the Yamaha PSR-4500, which was released in 1989. And here is the Yamaha PSR-4600, which was released a year later, in 1990. Now, as you can see with the 2 keyboards, they are both very identical, exact same casing, and as you can see, the buttons are in exactly the same locations on the 2. Though there are a few little differences. I'll go through the differences with you now. As you can see, we have both keyboards have like completely like different rhythms, though not all rhythm styles are different. Some of them are exactly the same on both models. So those are the styles on the PSR-4500 and 4600. So a lot of the rhythms are different on the 4600, with some of them being exactly the same on the 4500. And on the PSR-4500, these styles here are mainly from the Yamaha PSS keyboards at the time. So this keyboard actually has a lot of the styles that were from the Yamaha PSS-680. And now the sounds. You have the sounds on the PSR-4500 and sounds of the 4600. You can see that the sounds are exactly the same with the same numbers, but I will show the sounds on both models because as the PSR-4600 is newer, some of the sounds might sound better than on the 4500. And also, when it comes to digital effects, the PSR-4500 has digital reverb, room, hall and echo. As of the PSR-4600, instead of hall, we have stage. Instead of room, we have stage, hall and echo. So they both have 3 reverb types. One of them is different on both models. And as I said earlier, as you can see, the buttons are in the exact location on both keyboards. When it comes to specifications and features with the buttons and facilities, they are exactly the same on both models. So today I'll be going through the PSR-4500, the tutorial, but I won't bother doing it on the PSR-4600 as the specifications are exactly the same. But I will show everything else, the sounds and styles and so on. So there's the two keyboards, the PSR-4500 and 4600. Okay, so that was just a clip of the PSR-4500 and 4600 where I talk a little about them and show a few differences. One thing I forgot to mention is the styles. Like some of the styles are the same as each other on the 4500 and 4600, though they have different names. I've spotted one style which was on both keyboards but had different names. The PSR-4500, which was called Christmas Rock, which is style 11, but on the PSR-4600 it was style number 23, and it was called Pop Ballad. So that's a little about the PSR-4500 and 4600, and right now I am going to go through with you a tutorial of this keyboard and show all the different features and how to use these features. Thank you very much for watching and hope you enjoy. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you of this tutorial of this keyboard is the volume sliders here. We have a slider for the sound effects volume, the rhythm volume, the bass volume, chord volume, the orchestra voice volume and solo volume. So I'll show you that now. We're going to start with the rhythms. So we're just going to play a rhythm. And we can change the volume for the rhythm, bass and chord, just like this. We can also do the same with the sound effects volume, which is the pads here. And we can do the same with our voice here, the piano. The upper voice, and we can also do the same for the solo volume as well, with the solo voices. So I'm just going to turn on solo. So here's the solo voice, which I selected horn. The solo voices are monophonic. So that's the volume sliders. And now the next thing I want to show you quickly is the digital reverb. We have three choices here. We have room, hall and echo. So here is the room reverb. Hopefully the video will pick this up. And here is the hall reverb. And here we have the echo reverb. Though it doesn't work with the rhythms, as you can hear. And also, you can have no reverb at all. So just what I did here. press the button in which the reverb is selected, so that no buttons have been selected, and then we have no reverb. So that is the digital reverb. And now the next thing I want to show you is this key split here, with the key split button, which is basically a split point for the rhythms, bass and lower voices. So I'll show you that now. So here is the custom split point, which is about here. But we can change that, and as you can see here, we have the lights from where the split point is. And there goes a light there, and a light over there. And then when you press it again, it will go back to the default split point, which is here. So that's the furthest it will go. So yes, that applies to the rhythms. And also with the auto bass chord, we have manual bass, which also applies to that as well. But I'll show you the manual bass soon. And it also applies to the lower voice as well, which I'll also show you later on in this video. So here we have the lower voice, which will piano is selected. Oh, let's turn off the bass chord. And that is the key split feature. And now I'm going to show you the manual bass within the auto bass chord. So we will select manual bass, and we start the rhythm. Although the bass and the chords of the rhythm won't play, it will be just the drums. Because here, you can make your own bass solo. So just like this. And then go to voice select, and we go into select bass, and we can choose any of the 100 voices for the manual bass. No, it's recommended to just use the bass sounds. So this one. Or we can select 72, for instance. And we can change the key split, so we've got more keys to play with. So that's the manual bass feature, in which you can make your own bass solo with the rhythms. However, the chord and the bass of the actual rhythm won't play. But that also applies to the other rhythm styles as well. I'll show you that quickly now. So we'll select another rhythm. So not only the manual bass, you can select the 100 voices, but it also applies to the 100 styles as well. And now the next thing that I want to show you is the solo style play with the solo style play button here. Now what the solo style play does, that it automatically adds appropriate harmony notes and effects to a melody you play on the upper keyboard according to the selected accompaniment style. So I will show you that now. And it's also like one touch setting as well, because it gives you like the appropriate voices for the style as well. So here we have the piano sound when you first turn on the keyboard, and we press solo style play, and all of that changes. So we're going to select style number 1. We can play parts of the melody as well. And as you change the styles, the voices change as well. So just like, you can think of it as one-touch settings. But also, not on all styles, but some of the styles, I'll show you one now, that whenever you play a melody and then don't touch the left-hand side of the keyboard, you can actually get like solos, which adds sort of like glissando and stuff like that to the style. So I'll show you that now. So all I've got to do is just press a few keys on the right hand, and then the style does the rest. So that's a pretty good feature. I'll show you another style. We're going to select style, that one, and we'll have this sound. Turn on the style, then play something on our right hand, and then the style plays a melody. But when you turn off the solo style play, all of that stops. So that's quite a neat feature, I think, for this keyboard, and that is how you use solo style play, which is almost like one-touch settings. Okay, so now the next feature that I want to show you is the custom accompaniment. This section here. Now with custom accompaniment, you can create up to 5 of your own styles. So I will show you now how to do that. First of all, we're going to select custom 1 out of 5, and then we're going to press the program button to start recording. And automatically, rhythm has been selected, and now the keyboard is waiting for me to record the drum part. So that's the drum part done, and now we're going to select the bass part. I'm actually going to rename the bass. I'm going to rename it to Voice 68, and now I'm going to start my bass part. And now the bass part is done, I'm now going to select chord. And now I'm going to record a part for the chord. So now that that's done, you can press one of these custom buttons to where you want to store it. So for this instance, I'm going to select custom 1 and then stop. And after doing that, your style has been stored. And now you can add chords, different chords, just like this. And that is how you use custom accompaniment to create up to 5 of your own styles. And now I'm going to show you the sound effects pads here. Each pad is assigned to a certain sound effect. And next to the sound effects button here, we have the hold button, so we can just press one of these sound effects here without having to press it again. So that's a pretty neat feature there. And also on top of the sound effects pads, we have custom here, custom 1, 2 and 3, in which you can make your own custom pads. So we have custom 1, custom 2 and custom 3. And in order to customize these pads, just press program. And as well as the custom accompaniment, this is another way in which you can get to the drum sounds and sound effects on this keyboard. And while the pad is set to program, you just select any one of these sound effects and drum sounds. For this instance, I'm going to use drum sounds. And in order to program these pads to your custom, hold one of these pads whilst pressing one of these keys for a drum sound. So this is the custom 1, but I'm actually going to change it to this. So now after doing that, that button has been customized for that sound. And number 2. And number 3. So that's number 1, 2 and 3. That has been customized. So that's how you use the sound effects pads and how to customize them with your own drum sounds. And now another thing that I want to show you with the pads here is the synchro brake. So we'll take it off the program. And what the synchro brake does is that you can actually make your own fill-ins with the synchro brake selected when you're playing a style, but when you press the pads here, the drum section of the rhythm will stop playing. So I'll show you that now. So just like this. And now we're going to play a chord. And make our own fill-in, just like this. Then once you stop playing, the drums of the rhythms will start playing. And that's how you use the synchro brake with the styles so that you can create your own fill-ins using these pads here. And now I'm going to show you the digital synthesizer feature, in which you can alter the different parameters. There are altogether 10 different parameters in which tell you on here. There's spectrum, attack 1 and 2, decay 1 and 2, release, vibrato depth, vibrato speed, volume and velocity sensitivity. So for digital synthesizer, it's always good to use synthesizer sounds. So we're going to use a synthesizer Yeah, we use that sound for instance, and we're going to select Edit with the digital synthesizer, and with the top buttons here you can select 10 different parameters, and down here we can change the value of those parameters, so we can change them. So we're going to change spectrum, as you can hear the sound is slightly altered, and we're going to change the attack parameter. And attack 2. And then we have the delay parameter. And then we have the release. And vibrato depth. And vibrato speed. And we have the volume. And finally, with the parameters, the velocity sensitivity, which is basically the touch sensitivity of the keys. And that's how you use the digital synthesizer, so you can customize the sounds. You can customize all 100 sounds on this keyboard via digital synthesizer, and then you can save the altered sounds on the ROM Pack cartridge here, which unfortunately I don't have. Now the next thing I want to show you on this keyboard is the effects, these sections here. The effects, we have sustain 1 and 2, ensemble, duet and key velocity. So I'll go through them. I'll go through with you those effects. So we have sustain. It almost acts as if you are holding down a sustain pedal. So if you don't have a sustain pedal, you can just use the effects here. And sustain 2, which is the same as sustain 1, but it lasts longer. And then we have ensemble, though the actual ensemble effects varies depending on the voices that you select. So for ensemble, it's probably best if you use like instruments like brass and strings, etc. So for this instance, we're going to select some brass sounds. So we have here the horn. This is the original. And then we press ensemble to get the ensemble effect. So you can hear the difference. Well, hopefully the video picks up the difference. And we'll select another sound. So here's with no effect. And here's the ensemble effect. So you can hear that ensemble effect. And then we have the duet, which is like the harmony. So we're going to play a rhythm style for that. So we'll just put it back to piano and then play our rhythm. So that's the duet harmony effect, and we have the key velocity, which is basically the touch sensitivity. So if you turn it off, the keyboard won't be touch sensitive, it will be fixed velocity. But when it's turned on, the keyboard will be velocity sensitive. So that's just some of the effects. And now I want to show you the different parts of the voices that you can use. And we have the solo voices, the orchestra main voice, lower voice and dual voice, in which you can layer up to 2 sounds at the same time. So here we have the orchestra voices, which is your main voice. And then we have dual voice, in which we can layer up to 2 sounds at the same time. Oh, we'll turn off the auto bass chord, because with the auto bass chord turned on, depending on how many notes you play, it can exceed the amount of notes of polyphony this keyboard has. Unfortunately, on the manual, it doesn't say how many notes of polyphony this keyboard has. I'm gonna have to guess that I'll have to guess that it's pretty 12 notes polyphony, but that's not certain. I'm not sure how many notes of polyphony this keyboard has. But here we have the dual voices. So yeah, that's a dual voice. We have solo voices, in which are monophonic. And we use this voice select button here, so we can select like bass for the lower voice, solo voices and orchestra voices. So we're going to select solo voice, and we're going to select a flute sound. So we've got piano and flute going at the same time. But the only difference is that the flute sound, which is a solo voice, is monophonic. And here we have the lower voice. When lower voice is selected, it cuts off the orchestra voices, so all you're left on the top is the solo voice. While the lower voice is set to piano, but we can change that. So I'll show you a quick example on that quickly. So now that the orchestra voices is set to the lower part of the keyboard, whilst the solo voices is set to the right hand side of the keyboard. So here is the orchestra voice down the lower end, whilst we have the solo voice on the right hand side. So we can just do something like this. So that's how you select like different parts of the voices: solo, orchestra, lower and dual voice, etc. And now I'm going to show you how to use the music programmer, in which you can record your own songs. Now with the song select here, as you can see on the screen here, you can record up to 4 of your own songs and save them on the keyboard. So I will show you how to do that now. We're going to start with the accompaniment section. So we just press record on the accompaniment section, and now the keyboard waits for me to play. And then you press stop once you finish recording. And now we can play that back, pressing the play here, and press start. Now that we've done the accompaniment section, we can now record a part for the orchestra voice. So we will press record on the orchestra section and play on the accomp section. And then press start once you are ready to record your orchestra part. And now that's been recorded, I can now play these back, pressing the play button on the accomp and the orchestra section. So now we have the accomp section and the orchestra recorded. And now we're going to record a part for the solo section. So we'll select record on the solo section, but then we're going to select our solo voice, and we're going to select, for this instance, we're going to select a sort of a flute sound. So maybe a pan flute. And then we press play, we press start once we're ready to record. And press stop. So now that we've got the solo section recorded, we can play all those back. So that's all together the solo, orchestra and the accomp selected and recorded. Now finally we are going to select the bass part so that we have all parts recorded. So we are going to press bass, and we're actually going to select a voice. So for this instance we are going to select a bass sound. I think we will use number 72, which is one of the synth bass sounds. And then we can press start once we're ready to record the synth. Once we're ready to record the bass part. So here we go. So now we've got all parts recorded, we can now press play on all of them and listen to our full orchestra. So that's all of our orchestra recorded. When you're recording the bass part, what seems to me that it actually cuts off the bass of the actual style because you're making your own bass to record. So I didn't know that until now, but when you record the bass part, it actually cuts the bass part of the actual style itself. So that's how you use Music Programmer to record your own songs. And now I'm going to show you two things on this keyboard that we have here, the pitch bend wheel and this big roll bar in which you can select as many things, which I will show you soon. So here's the pitch bend wheel. And we have this big roll bar in which I'm now going to show you the different things that you can select using the roll bar. Now with the big roll bar here, you can assign it into 6 different things with these buttons here. So the 6 things you can assign it to, we have here modulation, orchestra brilliance, solo expression, orchestra expression, a comp expression and master expression. So I will go through with the different features that you can assign us to. So here we have modulation, which acts as a modulation wheel. And then we have the orchestra brilliance, which alters the main voice, and we'll select a different voice as well. So hopefully this video will pick up the difference when using the orchestra brilliance. And then we have the solo expression. So we'll select a solo voice. Sorry, there we go. And then select the solo expression, which turns the volume up and down with the solo voices. And then we have the orchestra expression, which does exactly the same with the solo voice. The orchestra voice. Just like that. And the accomp expression, in which you can turn up and down the volume, the accompaniment. And then finally we have master expression, in which all parts are changed with the volume. So that's the solo voices, the orchestra voices, and the accompaniment, and everything. So with master expression, all the volumes are changed depending on how high and low you have it. So that's the pitch bend wheel and the things you can do with the roll bar here. And now the next thing I want to show you is the registration memory with these buttons here, so that you can store your own settings. So we have 4 buttons here, so we can store up to 4 registration memories. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So select a style that you want to, select a style, and then we can select a voice. There you go. So we selected style number 9 or 10 and voice number 3 or 4, because with the styles 0 acts as if it's number 1. So now that we've selected our style and voice, we can select it, hold down the memory button here, and press one of these 4 registration memory buttons. And after that, your settings have been stored. So we can go back to them. So I'll show you that. And this is our one here, number 1. And now, what if I want to select something else and save it? So we're going to select style number, that's this number here, 11. And then we're going to select a different voice, which is also the same number as the style, and we're going to store that to registration memory number 2. So now that's saved. So that's number 1 and registration memory number 2. With the voice as well. So that's just a quick tip on how to store and save registration memories. Now the next thing that I want to show you is the pitch and transpose of the keyboard. So here we have the transpose, so in which you can transpose the keyboard. Select a different voice. It goes up to 6 to -6. So we'll select another voice. And now here's the pitch, which basically changes the tuning of the keyboard. So just like this, goes up to 16 to -16. So that's the transpose and pitch settings. And now the final thing that I want to show you on this tutorial of this keyboard is the ROM Pack cartridges. Now unfortunately I don't have a ROM cartridge to show you on this keyboard, but with the ROM Pack cartridges you can save what you've done on the keyboard, like your custom styles and the digital synthesizer for the voices that I showed you earlier, the music programmer to record your own songs, and registration memories. So if you've done any of those on the keyboard, you can save them onto a ROM pack by selecting to pack, and in that way you can save your registration memories, your custom songs, your custom styles, and so on. And then if you want to load them from the pack and onto the keyboard, you select from pack, and then you can load registration memories and voices that you have altered using digital synthesizer, music programmer, and custom styles onto the keyboard. So with the ROM packs you can save onto the pack and load stuff from the pack to the keyboard. Okay, so this is now the end of this tutorial of this keyboard. I do hope you have enjoyed this tutorial and that you have found it useful, and hopefully you'll get to, for those that have got this keyboard themselves, hopefully you get to know a lot more on how to use it after this tutorial video. So please do write back to me and tell me what you think, and stay tuned for the next video of this keyboard in which I'll be showing you the 100 voices. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video where I'll be showing you the voices.